connect to Dr. Ashok Misra. He is in IIT Kharagpur only. Now we have our friend Dr. Shibendu Shankar Ray. He is from IRI, and now presently the director of Mahalanobis National Crop Forecast. This is a very important of agriculture and farmers welfare. It was instituted in 2012, and yesterday we had its foundation day. So Dr. Ray obtained his master's and doctorate, as I said, from IARI, and we were together as a friend. In fact, three of IITians are working. One Divi Rao in Hyderabad, and Ray Saab is here, and SP Agarwal at Dehradun. A very good contribution they are making, and he has been during his nearly decades of professional experience at Space Application Center, ISRO, and MNCFC, Dr. Ray contributed to various aspects of remote sensing application in agriculture. He has a large number of publications and awards like ISRO Merit Award, Satish Dhawan Award, Geospatial Award, Vikram Sarabhai Research Award, and Fisher Trophy Memorial Award. Really, he is a very, very decorated scientist and a decorated space researcher. We welcome Dr. S.S. Ray for his talk. Dr. S.S. Ray, please.
Thank you, Dr. Misra. Am I audible?
Yes, very much audible.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Misra. It's a good, as Dr. Misra has already told, that we are classmates in IRI. Dr. Misra, Dr. D.K. Singh, who is also in, I think, Water Technology Center. I had an opportunity to, it's a great opportunity to talk to the members and the students of Indian Society of Agriculture Engineers. I had an opportunity to participate in one of the conferences done by Indian Society of Agriculture Engineers in Ludhiana when they had the Australian Australian Precision Agriculture Conference. I had an opportunity to meet Professor Gajendra Singh there. So thank you, the Indian Society of Agriculture Engineers, for giving me an opportunity. In fact, I sit in an office which is just in front of Agriculture Engineering Division. So I belong to Mahalanobis National Crop Forecast Center of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. The center was established in 2012 to operationalize all technologies which are developed by Indian Space Research Organization for agriculture applications. So I was sent from ISRO to start this center, and since then I'm here. As also Dr. Misra has told, I have studied from Indian Agriculture Research Institute in the Agriculture Physics Division. So I'll be talking about satellite remote sensing and its use in agriculture. As Dr. Misra has told me, I have to say, I'm sorry that I have to tell some basic things. So I think some professors may kindly excuse me. Next, please. So basically, what is remote sensing? As all of you are aware, we have basically studying the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with different objects, land, water, atmosphere, and we get reflectance from that. We use the whole component of the electromagnetic spectrum, and the sensors which we use, sensors basically are cameras which we use are either passive sensors where they don't have their own source of light, and or they can use either the reflected sunlight of the earth, or they use the thermal radiation coming out of the earth, or there are active sensors. Active sensors can be in optical, which is something, as example is a LIDAR, or a active sensor in microwave range, which is called a radar. So they send their pulses, and then they measure the back scatters or whatever coming back to the satellite. Next slide, please. So basically there are physical, this shows the basic physical principles behind satellite remote sensing. If you use optical remote sensing, we use reflectance as the measurable object, and we do this is the equation which you use, reflectance equation. And if you use the thermal range of the electromagnetic spectrum, then we use brightness temperature, and you use the Planck's law for calculating brightness temperature. And if you use microwave, if you use passive microwave, there also you use the brightness temperature. And if you use active microwave, so you use the backscatter coefficients, and which is most, these both microwave are mostly dependent on the dilatory property of the target, and also they especially the active microwave is dependent on the structure of the target. So you have various models, image processing models, radiative transfer models, parameter withdrawal models, process-based models, which are used for land, ocean, atmosphere applications. This is the physical basis of remote sensing. Next, please. Coming to why do we use satellite remote sensing? One is it has a synaptic coverage. It covers large area. A single scene of satellite image covers around 140 to 200 kilometer by kilometer. It's repetitive. You can get data every 10 days. You can get data every 15 days, 10 days, so that you can see the target regularly. Inaccessible area coverage, the places which you can't go, like forests, oceans, all these mountains, you can always use satellite data to see that. If you have microwave data or thermal data, you can use weather, all weather and day and night capability. You get information in an image format that's in special domain, so that you get overall map kind of thing. And also in a single platform, you observe in multiple resolutions, multiple angles, multiple spectral regions, so that you get from a single space platform, you get a lot of observations. We have now satellites ranging from 1 kilometer to few centimeters spatial resolution, 26 days to half-hourly temporal resolutions, and radiometric, that is the digital numbers, the 6-bit to 16-bit, and spectral resolutions are, we have large bands to very few nanometers, which are called hyperspectral imaging. So those all dimensions, we have satellite data. So that helps you to assess the target in different aspects. Next. Next, please. So if I talk about Indian remote sensing program, it's an end-to-end program. We build our own satellite, which is done in ISRO Satellite Center in Bengaluru. Then the satellite cameras are built at Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. Then the rockets, different components, which is called launch vehicle. Rocket is called launch vehicle. We have two types of launch vehicle, geostationary launch vehicle, polar sun synchronous launch vehicle. So there are different places which are built. Major is VSSC, Vikram Sarai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram, Liquid Propulsion System Center, ISRO Inertial Systems Unit. Then these satellites are launched in Satish Dhawan Satellite Center in Shar. And after satellite is launched, it is controlled by two units of ISRO, that is ISTRAC, ISRO Telemetry and Tracking, and Master Control Facility in Hassan. Then once the satellite data comes, it is data is processed at National Remote Sensing Center, Hyderabad. And National Remote Sensing Center also does a lot of applications. Then the major applications are also done in Space Application Center. ISRO has also various capacity building and units, outreach units like Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, DECU, which makes movies and capacity building for ISRO. Then Ontrix is our business arm of Indian Space Research Organization. Next. So this basically shows ISRO has all end-to-end capability. In the world, there are 62 agencies launching satellites. If you go the COS, Committee of Earth Observation Systems, 160 satellites are available in the country, in the world. So we have internationally, we use this kind of satellite data regularly. Our center uses Landsat data. Landsat is an American satellite. MODIS is an American satellite. RadarSat is a Canadian satellite, microwave satellite. Sentinel-1 is an SAR satellite. Sentinel-2 is an optical satellite. Both are of European Space Agency. Then Planet Lab is a private satellite which gives high resolution data every day. Next. And these data are also available. Many of these data are available freely. Sentinel-1, that is the SAR data. Sentinel-2 optical data are available freely. Any of you can download this data and use. Landsat data is also available freely. Of course, Planet Lab, which is a 3-meter resolution or better than 3-meter resolution, you have to procure that data. It's a costly data because it's a private company data. Next. We have a major workhorse of Indian remote sensing satellite called Resursa 2, which was launched in 2012, 2011. Then we repeated satellites was Resursa 2A was launched. It has 3 cameras, advanced wide field sensor, which has got 56 meter resolution, which you get data in every 5 days. But now since we have two satellites, we get data in every 2 to 3 days. And list 3, which has got 24-meter resolution, we get data now with 2 satellites every 12 days. And list 4, which is 6-meter resolution, we get data in every 24 days nowadays. So you use AVIS for a regional level or state level estimations. List 3 we use for district level, and list 4 you use when you do block level or village level assessments. Next. This is a single scene of remote sensing satellite data. This is basically called a false color composite. Here all the red is representing the near infrared band. So all these reds are vegetation. You can see the whole of Indo-Gangetic plain has full of vegetation. Rajasthan deserts are seen. The central plateau is seen. You can see the Maharashtra has low vegetation because this is mostly a February image. You have low vegetation in Maharashtra agriculture area. You can see hills, you can see snow-clad mountains, everything you can see from this. You can see part of ocean also. Next. So you not only sometimes we don't use only a single day data. We use 2 combinations. Here is in the right side image is a combination of a Cartosat Indian satellite, which has got 1-meter resolution, which is a black and white picture, and LIS4 is 5-meter resolution. But when you combine these 2, we get much better than Sentinel-2A, which is an European satellite, which is 10-meter resolution. So if you combine LIS4 and Cartosat, you get a much better image than an outside. Sometimes we talk whether Indian images are better or not. You can see the Cartosat LIS4 combination, and below I have put a Google Earth image. This is typically West Godavari district. These all plants which are being seen are called oil palms. So you can very well see these Google Earth like type of images using Indian satellite data. Next. Agriculture has been the major driver of Indian space program. Whatever satellites we launch, whatever satellite sensors we build, most of them are designed keeping agriculture in view. In fact, the first Indian experiment on remote sensing was carried out in 1959 jointly by Indian Agriculture Research Institute, NASA and ISRO to study the coconut root wilt experiment, coconut root wilt in Kerala. So from there, the birth of remote sensing started. We celebrated 50 years last year of remote sensing. The agriculture has a major role in defining Indian remote sensing satellites. Growth of digital analysis of satellite data started from agriculture, because the agriculture you have to see the reflectance values. In the country, there are largest number of professionals in agriculture remote sensing, working in agriculture remote sensing. Since in the agriculture we need to use data regularly, so the biggest single user of remote sensing data. In fact, ours is a very small center, but we are one of the largest users of satellite data in the country. And it has seen a lot of institutions, many institutes, many organizations have been formed for agriculture remote sensing. Next. So what do we get from satellite data? First, the images we get, which shows the existence of vegetation. You can see the right top images. It shows where is the crop is there, whether crop is, what kind of crop is there. And from there, the density of the vegetation and different types of vegetation, using some ground truth, we can find out what kind of crop is there. So we get a crop statistics and crop maps. Also, based on the reflectance values, we can get crop condition, what is the crop is healthy or poor, there is water stress, there is a pest attack, disease attack, drought, all these things you can get. You can get, since you are having multi-day data regularly you are observing, you can get a crop growth profile. You can see the right bottom part. You can see how the crop progressing. It's a kind of a, if you have seen in your student days, LAI curve or a biomass curve, similar curves are generated from satellite vegetation indexes. So you can get a crop vigor map. You can see Madhya Pradesh big crop vigor map, or a sowing date pattern. You can predict, so you can estimate sowing. You can estimate where is the maximum vegetative state. You can predict the harvesting, All these things can be done. Next. We can also get a lot of derived products. You can get soil moisture from the satellite data. You can get evapotranspiration. You can get rainfall from satellite-based estimates. You can get photosynthetically active radiation, which is absorbed by the crops. So all these and which can give rise to productivity, primary productivity. All these together we use for various applications, for crop area estimation, crop yield estimation, crop condition assessment, drought assessment, various applications. Next. So there has been large number of applications of EO means Earth observation, or we call remote sensing or Earth observations. EO applications in agriculture. The biggest application in our country is crop production forecasting, horticulture developmental, sustainable agriculture, climate change impact assessment, both flood and drought disaster management, watershed development, fishery forecasting, soil resources mapping, irrigation management, in all aspects. In fact, the name which Dr. Indramani Mishra take, the VV Rao, he is working on the water resources. He is working a lot on the water resources and irrigation management. Next. So we have 5 major programs in national programs on Ministry of Agriculture is running, which we are operationally doing it. We have one is called FASAL, forecasting agriculture output using space, agrometeorology, land-based observation, where it gives state, national, district level crop production forecast for 9 major crops using both optical and SAR data. We have another program called NADAMS, National Agriculture Drought Monitoring System, under which we are the sole agency to give the drought assessment for the whole country at district and sub-district level, using multiple satellite data, weather, crop, and soil moisture inputs. We have another program called Chaman. You can see our names are very interesting names of Hindi names. Chaman is Coordinated Horticulture Assessment and Management using geoinformatics, mostly for horticulture. We do assessment of 7 crops in 327 districts. A lot of horticulture developmental plannings like crop expansion, like site suitability for infrastructure development, cold storage development, all these things are done, precision farming, all these things are done on the Chaman project. We also do a lot of things for crop insurance. You know that we have a big program called Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, where there is area discrepancy, yield estimation, yield dispute resolution, crop cutting experiment planning, optimization, use of UAVs for loss assessment. Every aspect is work done. And in PMFBI guidelines, satellite remote sensing has been used very extensively. A lot of claims, farmers' claims are disbursed using satellite data. Crop intensification in another study, which I'll be showing, where we did in rice fallow areas, how to grow pulses, where are the places to grow pulses and oilseeds. I'll show the example of some of these. Next. Next. So this is the satellite data which we use for crop estimation. We use AVIS data for state level estimations. You can see Punjab area showing the from April to February. This is a lower resolution. When you give state level estimation, you can see greenness of April, then slowly getting down, then coming up the Kharif crop coming up. By September, it's dark green. Then slowly it is getting down by November, harvest happens. Then the Rabi crop comes, wheat comes. That we use for state level estimates. We use optical data. This is also Punjab, Haryana, SAR data, either Indian RI chart or Sentinel for rice estimation, or you use high resolution single dot history or Landsat data or Sentinel data for district level assessments. You can see the crop classification. This is a classified map, and this is left side is false color composite, outside is classified map. Next. But only satellite data we can't do the analysis. So we collect a lot of ground truths. We collect ground truths using smartphones. This is collected by the state agriculture departments. So they collect ground truth all over the country. Or 80,000 ground truths we have till now collected in last 4 or 5 years. These ground truths are available for students who are doing research. They can write to us and we'll share the ground truth, 1-year-old ground truth, so that you can use all this data for satellite data analysis. We also carry out large number of crop cutting experiments, yield for to get develop to validate our yield models. This also data, once if students are developing yield models, they can use this data, our data, to for their research work. Next. This is I'm showing typically for horticulture crop mapping. You can see very high resolution data we use for banana, chili, citrus, onion, mango, tomato. This is all under our Chaman project. We use various types of data, combination of data, and various satellite data, various classification techniques. Here we use mostly for normal crops, we use pixel-based classification. Here we use object-based classification for crop mapping. Next.
Next, please.
Okay, we do a lot of work related to disaster and damage assessment. One of the major thing is our drought assessment, which you do as per the new drought manual. We do periodic drought assessment at district, sub-district level. You can see the drought assessment map of Kharif 2019. We also did recently Rabi 2019. So these drought assessments are used by the state governments for the drought declaration, and they get the compensation from the Government of India. We also did large number of studies to see the impact of hailstorms, impact of whitefly, how the locust attack impact. We also regularly do studies or assessments for extreme weathers like cyclone, hailstorms, heavy rainfall impact assessment, which we did for UP, the whole of Northwest India, which happened in 2015. We also regularly do flood area assessment, and wheat rust early warning, and also, as you know, in Punjab, Haryana. This is a presentation I had given in Punjab during the SCPA about residue burning assessment. We regularly monitor the residue burning, not only where it has occurred, how much area has been burned. So all these things are regularly monitored by us. Next.
Can we conclude in 3 minutes, Dr. Ray?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just showing one example what we do for crop cutting experiment planning. As you know, this CC planning are done by the various sampling plans given by Panse and Sukhatme from ISRI and Mahalanobis from Indian Statistical Institute. Now we are going to change that. So we generate a crop map. Then we develop from satellite data transplanting dates. We generate a proxy yield map, and we develop yield strata, good yield, low yield, high yield. And based on that, we select CC points randomly. Till now, CC points are done only within the village level, just selecting randomly without considering the crop condition. But this year, we have done it all India. We did 1 lakh crop cutting experiments, Rabi, and similar amount of crop cutting experiments, Kharif, operationally for using satellite data. Next. Next page. So this is a typical case I was telling you, that where we are using satellite data for Kharif mapping, then Rabi mapping, Rabi area mapping, and trying to find out post Kharif price for fallow area. On those fallow areas, we overlay various information like ground, whether there is availability of soil moisture, what is the weather condition, whether there is a drainage network, and try to find out the suitable sites for growing pulses. Now we did it at block and village level. Prioritization was done also on village level. We did for 6 East Indian states. This was used. This is being used to find out that Government of India is trying to grow pulses and remove its dependence on foreign countries for pulses. So these maps are being used by various state governments for growing pulses, for targeting the areas where to grow pulses. Next. So this is my last slide. There has been a lot of trends. We just now heard about IoTs, a lot of trends in technology to support agriculture. We have now satellite constellations. One I talked about is Planet Labs. Large number of constellations are coming. So satellite data will not be any more problem. You have free data. UAVs and drones are coming in large way. IRI Physics Division is doing a lot of experiments on UAVs. IoT, we just now heard IoT, wireless and sensor network, the smartphone and crowdsourcing of data, big data analytics. Most of you may be working on artificial intelligence, machine learning. We have open sources and cloud-based servers of Google Earth, Google Earth Engine, Amazon Web Server, large number of open source softwares like Snap, QuickGIS, etc. So all these technologies are going to support a lot to the use of satellite data, and all of this has been put in the guidelines generated for doubling farmers' income by 2022. Of course, as all of you are aware, 2022 is a very hard target, very tough target, but without using technology, we can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. S.S. Ray. It's a very interesting topic on new things. You should all clap for both the speakers, Dr. Ashok Mishra, for having taken their time, especially no questions, please. We already told you before in the program I shown questions only. You have to fill in for the speakers. You have to fill in. I'll show again what I showed you slide before, because we have conflicts in the last 4 times we have seen, because we have short time actually. 20 minutes and 10 minutes we have planned, if at all questions, but questions becomes problem, because unless I will allow 1 or 2 questions, but people have to use the feedback link. And as I told you yesterday, also feedback link, nobody is using it. I think you should put in the feedback. We will see that the reply comes to you. Okay, we are in now it's completely in home only. We are all working, so we have invitations now. So any really important questions you can ask, but I think about they're giving already 5 meters. If you don't know about satellite images, everybody gets in 5 meters resolution now. If it's a government organization, there are a lot of people trying to use it, especially for insurance purposes. Any other specific questions you have, you raise your hand. I will take 1 question. There's no problem. Anybody specifically on this want to ask? I see 2 persons are there. One, I think, Dr. Boom Singh Devara. Can you please ask your question? Yeah, please.
Oh, thanks, Dr. A. Just my specific question is that how this drone helps this Landsat data. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
How this drone technology supports
Landsat
Landsat
data.
He understood. Sorry, let him reply.
Can I take the second question? Then I will answer together. Yes.
Just a second. Dr. Narendra Shah, what is the question? Please.
Yeah, so there is this IMD office in Pune, Tropical Agricultural Meteorology. So they do a lot of forecasting. So do you sort of have a synergy with whatever forecast they give every year, for example, before monsoon, about the different crops and yields and things like that?
Okay, sir. Next, any other?
No, 2 questions. That's enough, sir.
There is one Dr. Manjul Hajra or something.
No, he's not here. No question.
Oh, Manjul
your
Hajra,
question.
right.
Yeah, Manjul, please go ahead. Your question.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. I have one question. Already European Space Agency, they have sent it to Agri platform, which is global coverage, and you can process agriculture related, crop data for the whole world. And I think ISRO and your center is a much better position for India because you have a lot of data sets and it can be done more specifically requirement of India. So how do you, and as I said, this European Space Agency is free, everything is free. I think India, you should also, probably it will be better for the scientists to give this completely free and put everything together in that fashion, the way Center to Agri operates. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So these 3 questions, sir. The first question, whether how do you combine drone and satellite data, sir? Generally, drone will complement the satellite data. Satellite data is a large area, so drone will complement. Drone will give a very location specific and short area, but very high resolution. So you can complement. You can use a sample locations drone data, and then take that information from the drone and then extrapolate to satellite and use that together. So both will complement each other, either Landsat or our Indian LIS3 or whatever, because LIS3 will see the 145 kilometer, drone will see 5 kilometer, but that 5 kilometer information is high resolution, which can complement to the drone data. So that is the first question. Second, sir, your IMD and IATM all give weather forecast. We give crop forecast. So weather is the basic thing. So we use weather data and weather forecast of theirs, to which is input to our models, and you give that the final crop forecast. So that is how their output is the input for us. Third is, yes, sir, India has a lot of satellites. As of now, India's archive data is free. Many of the satellites archive data free. Current real-time data is still now not free, but they are very low cost. But Government of India, the Department of Space also needs the central government's approval to make it free. But they're slowly they are going to make it free. But a lot of archive data is already free. So I hope I have answered all three questions.
Thank you, Dr. S.S. Ray.
Wonderful reply.
Yeah,
Sir?
Dr. Gajan Singh. Yeah, just a second. I think we have running out. Dr. Gajan Singh, any comments from anybody?
Sir, Professor Gajendra Singh, I have a complaint, sir. Sir, you had promised me that you will come to our center. You have not come.
I'm a little far away now, but I'll come. I'm sorry. I missed it.
Okay, sir.